Okie dokie. Everybody out there. Ooh, I'm getting a little bit of a strange little ringing in my ears, folks. I can't tell if that is because I am still sick and my head feels like it is stuffed with cotton balls, or if that's some sort of technological thing. Let me try something out here. Just gonna try to move some cords around. You know, you'd be surprised how often strange noises come because just cords are just, I don't know, like in a big bowl of spaghetti. Got spaghetti cords over here, folks. It's a real fire hazard. Okay, who do we got here? Santa Wears Brown. What's up over on Twitch? Twitch. Burr, burr, burr. We got Salt Paul. We got Lucky Luciano. Furf over on the YouTubes. Okay, people are making it in. That's good. Let's see. Over on the Rumble, we got Jagged7. What's up, dog? You know, we've been doing okay at getting started a little earlier, and I think it's interesting. The live viewers, they haven't caught up. Don't know if this is necessarily prime time to going at noon, but hopefully people tune in on their lunch break. All right, couple important announcements, folks. Keep an eye out on your email inbox and your spam folders and your junk mail. You got to look at all of it because, as we know, Google loves to send our emails into all sorts of different places. But if you are a supply dropper, keep a lookout in your email box. And if you are a T-shirt council member, keep a lookout. We are finalizing. We had to do a full revamp of kind of our back-end system of that sort. Just having to make sure, confirm everybody's participation and address and sizing and things like that. Hopefully this will keep us organized into the future. And if you are one of the couple dozen people who have been receiving the supply drop for free for the past couple quarters, it is my fault that happened, but do not expect this next supply drop to come to you for free. So if you were kind of liking receiving the supply drop, especially without, supporting the show, you should consider really supporting the show. Go to canarycrysupply.com, sign up. That's the way you're going to keep getting the supply drop. And, the ones that got sent out erroneously, that is our burnt offering to the Lord. Hopefully you guys were blessed by that. Okay, well, I have some interesting things going on now in the metaverse right now as I am podcasting from the metaverse. 2 bathtubs have just materialized in front of me. I don't know what to do about this. This is weird timing. 2 bathtubs, just straight ceramic bathtubs, dropped from the sky and are now laying in front of me in the metaverse between me and all my working screens. I'll keep you updated on that. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what this means, but I will keep everybody posted. All right, let's get this show rolling, folks.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 3rd, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 685. And today, wheat and TARE. And signing on from Out the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Dr. Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit Films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Live to tape from cold colder anyway, California, to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's immersion phenomena, oh boy, not great, but I'm gonna go with it. Basil, play along. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Hamas, Hezbollah, Hullaball.
Hamas, Hezbollah, Hullabaloo.
Good job.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Did you make that one up?
No.
Oh.
I blame the. Man. Yeah, I came up with it. It was something I was trying to slap together before.
Take the credit.
No, I feel shame. I feel shame after your reaction.
It's kind of funny because Hullaball does sound like it would be some sort of paramilitary Middle Eastern,
Yeah, you got the Hamas, he's got Hezbollah, and you got Hullabaloo. You got all three.
Hullable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. There you go, folks. You can't get that kind of comedy anywhere else on the web. And we're glad that you are here. Here we are. It's Friday. We're a little bit shorter show today because we got babies that got to get picked up from the school. So we might as well just jump right into it and play this disclaimer.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. Yeah, that's right. Let me give you a quick little rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Well, of course, first we have got to comment on the mysterious devil comet that looks like the Millennium Falcon flying by Earth in 2024, but then we're making a quick pivot over to another article on Salon regarding MAGA and the Christian nationalism, bigger threat to America than Hamas could ever be. Whoa. That'll be fun. And then let's see here. What else?
Flippy.
Then, of course, Flippy. We're going to be talking about the human aspect of service robots. Of course, it's very important as we move into the next phase of humanity, which is subjugation. Revealed, Anthony Fauci run lab in Montana. That'll be fun. That just, the Fauci train just keeps on rolling, folks, and you just gotta keep up. And then at the end of the show, we got anomalies, believe it or not, deep inside the Earth. That's where the aliens had a little whoopsie daisies. We'll tell you what the science says, according to Vice. But first, Guns, our lead stories.
So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist. And that's not a bad word.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Your dirty mouth needs a bath.
PSYOPs.
Actually, you're right. That's not the correct thing. Let's get there by just talking real quick about Salon here. Salon, an outlet, left, progressive, very much part of the establishment.
But also just a piece of trash. Like barely. I mean, they are establishment and they are left. I mean, but I almost don't want to give them the credit by saying that they are left. They are simply a pile of garbage that just happens to try to be a popular pile of garbage, and that just happens to be make them need to sort of swing left on every issue, including space, apparently.
Yes. This headline here at the beginning: a mysterious devil comet that looks like the Millennium Falcon will pass by Earth next spring. And yeah, I mean, great. Though it's been nicknamed the Devil Comet, there's no reason to fear Comet 12/P Pons Brooks as it careens through space and nears a closer orbit of Earth.
Okay, first of all, we got this Luciferian satanic sort of promotion going on here in Salon. They're calling it a devil comet, but do not fear.
Yeah, don't fear the devil comet.
The devil is not a bad guy. He's just misunderstood, okay? We're sentient pile of garbage Salon.
but it also looks like the Millennium Falcon. And look, there's a picture of it. Okay. If somebody got a picture of the Millennium Falcon and they were looking at it through a real dirty window. I mean, I'm talking real dirty, a bird poop, all kinds of stuff. Almost to the point where it's stained glass. You can't even see through. That's how the image looks to me. It just looks like a blob with maybe a Pac-Man type of thing going on the side, but that's about it. Millennium Falcon. No, that's stretching it.
I see what they're saying.
Sure.
But the fun part is, as we all know, photographs in space, images taken in space, they're nothing. They're always nothing. They're a smudge surrounded by other smudges. But I kind of like it because this we've seen it ever since, before, but especially since the James Webb Telescope came out, and there's sort of this manufactured popularity of NASA and its photography skills, where every few weeks we get to kind of just pad the news cycle with some space nonsense. The photography is always awful, but it's so awful. It's kind of like a Rorschach test. It's like an ink blot test of the mainstream media at any time. Anytime a picture of something in space, an object in space comes out, it's a bad picture, it's horrible, and it makes no sense. But it's an opportunity for the mainstream news to sort of give us insight, to sort of psychoanalyze themselves, because whatever they see in this blob, ink blot, nothing burger, it kind of gives us it's just some insight. I'm not even going to say, it's kind of like psychoanalysis, where there's not necessarily like a
scientific,
concrete
objective
diagnosis or something, but it does give you sort of a view into the twisted and pitiful mind of the mainstream media.
I think this might be to even call it the devil's comet and, comment on it and say, oh, don't fear it. It's almost like it's set up to be like a big deal for maybe, I don't know, some Christian nationalist or something to start freaking out about something it's like a magic trick to make evangelicals and Christians and all this kind of stuff freak out. Like, the devil's comet is coming in April. Oh, what rituals are they doing and things of that nature.
That's one of the big things when, this show, it's about, observing the broad trends going on in the media. It's not necessarily about any individual headlines, although we do have fun times with those, but it's kind of an opportunity to practice widening your scope and pointing out or identifying the broad game that is mainstream media. And it's not that any individual headline gives the full picture of the sort of plan that is at hand, but you can see piece by piece, from puff pieces about space to a commentary on Hamas or whatever. You can see that it's like you said, it's a stained glass window that you have to pull back and see each glorious shining piece makes a bigger whole. And seeing this little messaging about a devil comet, a smudge on a black piece of paper, the devil comet, but don't be afraid, it's coming 2024. It's an election year. There's it's kind of and some people kind of scoff at the idea, the more abstract analysis and deconstruction of the whole stained glass window that is the media. But at the same time, doesn't matter if you believe it or not, they believe it. It's all part of the plan, baby.
Yeah. It's like they're trolling Christians in a sense, but and that seems to align with the trends of things. I'm a little troubled today, Basil. I was preparing for an X post, but I figured just better to do a show, and maybe I'll tweet X whatever, post this thought out as well. But I was seeing some things here. First of all, Times of Israel reported back on the 26th of October. They had a headline: officials eye legislation to strip citizenship residency from terror supporters. So, okay, the precedent is set there that if you're an Israeli citizen or resident and you have shown any kind of, I'm assuming, any kind of solidarity with Palestine, you're assumed to support Hamas, and therefore you can be de-citizened. So not a great look. And that precedent of like, hey, if you support terrorism, then you're gonna lose your residency and you're gonna lose your citizenship, in conjunction with this other Salon article here, was troubling to me.
Yeah, real quick, just as a comment, I mean, the real danger of that is that, as we know, as we've learned over the past 10 or 20 years in the U.S., is that the label terrorism can be applied to anything that the government wants to apply it to. And so, if this precedent is set that you can lose your citizenship based on support for, not even material support, but
a Palestinian flag on your social media.
Thought support, losing your citizenship for that, it could literally be anything at any moment. And of course, we know in the U.S. the FBI considers conservatives terrorists.
Right. And by the way, my mention about a Palestinian flag is not me being pro-Palestine. Just for anyone who might get triggered in that way when I said that. But anyway, so it brings us to this Salon article here. Far-right MAGA theocrats, most dangerous threat to America. And this was supplemented with a tweet, X post by Salon, which read as follows. Let me get that in there. Oh, wait, I thought I had this ready to go here, and apparently I don't. Uh-oh. This was what happened when I had too many browsers open. Okay, let's see. Ooh, how many browsers does Gons have open on his computer? Want to take a guess?
Like actual browsers or Windows?
Browsers.
Oh, I'm gonna guess 3.
Yeah, 2, but it's okay. Yeah, 2 browsers and like 5 windows. Anyway, okay, here's Salon tweeting this out or Xing out or posting. MAGA and Christian nationalism, parentheses, bigger threat to America than Hamas ever could be. Dun, dun, dun.
Whoa.
So if in Israel you're any solidarity with Hamas, you're no longer a citizen, you're no longer you can be deported or whatever. If that's the trend, then if you're MAGA or Christian nationalist, hey man, you might be losing your American citizenship. I mean, I'm not saying that that's gonna happen, but that's sort of the trajectory, putting 2 and 2 together. But let's dig into
Israel is the petri dish for things like that.
Yeah. Let's check out the Salon article. The world inches closer to a war that only psychopaths want to see. Yes, okay. On Tuesday, the FBI issued a warning that the chance of staged terrorist attacks in the U.S. has grown since the war began in Gaza. In the White House, briefing later that day, Fox News reporter Peter Doocy asked National Security Council spokesman John Kirby, quote, has the White House considered the possibility that a terrorist could be in the country right now after crossing the southern border? Obviously they have, or the FBI wouldn't have issued the warning. The question remains, however, what our government response would be to such an attack. That has already been discussed at the highest levels in our government, and the public has a right to know what that reaction would be. So, although I wasn't called on as Kirby left the stage, I interrupted to ask the only question I thought mattered. Quote, John, wait a minute before you leave. If Hamas terrorists attack the U.S., would the U.S. put boots on the ground in the Middle East? Question mark. I thought there would be a more compelling question there, but okay. Kirby stopped his retreat from the stage, and Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre let him answer. Kirby was succinct. Quote, I won't speculate about that, Brian. We'll obviously do what we have to do to protect our troops and our people. Ooh, I don't like the tone of that. Got to do what we got to do. On the same day, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer showed up at the White House with a bipartisan group. Senator Todd Young, Mike Rounds, Martin Heinrich, to talk to President Biden and help steer a congressional response to the threat posed by Skynet. Sorry, I mean AI. Clever. It's a bipartisan effort, but there are both Republicans and Democrats who remain opposed. Bipartisanship, it's interesting how he brings up AI as part of this conversation. Bipartisanship, once seen as a laudable goal on many issues, is now sneered at by most remaining members of the Republican Party. Working with Democrats for them is like choosing death over a slice of cake. Apologies to Eddie Izzard. Okay. Most Republicans are so dismayed at the prospect of working with Democrats that they want to scuttle efforts to fund the war in Ukraine, virtually isolating Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who seems to be nearly alone on an island calling for aid to continue. It's a rare display of common sense from the 81-year-old Kentuckian. Common sense to support war, whose primary focus is on political power. Quote, no Americans are getting killed in Ukraine, McConnell said. Is that true? Quote, we're rebuilding our industrial base. The Ukrainians are destroying the army of one of our biggest rivals. I have a hard time finding anything wrong with that. I think it's wonderful that they're defending themselves, and also the notion that the Europeans are not doing enough. They've done almost $90 billion. They're housing a bunch of refugees who escaped. I think that our NATO allies in Europe have done quite a lot, end quote.
Okay, I'm getting whiplash from this article.
Uh-huh.
We start with asking about Hamas, and now it's just like whipped us over to talking about Ukraine.
Yeah. AI, then Ukraine, and but back to Democrats. Few Democrats have said it any better, and it spelled out exactly what the stakes are for the U.S. in an ongoing war in Ukraine. Remember that Vlad the Impaler, Putin, has clearly suggested that he wants to get the old Soviet Union band back together. Yeah, Vlad the Impaler Putin. You didn't know?
It does kind of actually seem like maybe an AI wrote this. Like
I think so.
Calling Vladimir Putin the Impaler. I mean, obviously you're making a reference to Vlad the Impaler, the historical figure, but it's feels
done.
AI.
It does feel like an AI mistake.
On the internet, AI read about Vlad the Impaler and just kind of stuck it into Vlad the Impaler.
Vladimir Putin. Oh, Vlad the Impaler. Yeah, same guy. This is a AI hallucination right here. Has clearly suggested that he wants to get the old Soviet Union back together. Ukraine is just the first stop in a quest for global hegemony. Okay, they talk about Rand Paul, some other politicians that are out of touch, and yada, yada, yada.
Why are we talking about this?
Because while the world burns, Johnson and the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, which seems to have swallowed the evangelical movement while also embracing it, parenthetical, a T-1000 morphing into Sarah Connor is just about the right image, okay, is embracing the darkest verses of the Bible, apparently pushing for apocalypse with an enthusiasm only rivaled by Saul's slaughter of Christians before he changed his name to Paul.
Now, this I find interesting. They're saying that, let's see, MAGA and Johnson are embracing the darkest verses of the Bible. Yet to give us an example of that, but we'll give it a chance. Pushing for apocalypse, which, look, there's some layered sort of things you need to know about with regard to that, because, of course, pushing for war in Israel sort of lines up with some biblical prophecy in the book of the Revelation. And so you kind of need to know little bits and pieces of that. I have a hard time believing that, some sort of like pink-haired barista reading Salon is going to know exactly what that means. But
What's wrong with pink hair?
Okay, you could say pushing for war in the Middle East is pushing for apocalypse or revealing.
Well, I think, especially coming from progressive secular side of the aisle, you look at religious people in general, and it's like it makes it seem like, they want the apocalypse, they want the end times, man, they're crazy, look at they're pushing. So that's the sense that I get, and we see it as a more deeper thing, but I don't know that this
then the
author
reference to
Saul's
slaughter of Christians before he changed his name to Paul,
a little.
That is nobody who has, you have to spend a non-insignificant amount of time sort of in church or reading the Bible for that reference
to get to that.
Like make any sense to you right off the bat.
Yeah, but you also never know what kind of circles folks like these are running in, maybe some ex-Christians or Christian deconstructionists or something that bring up these points. And then
that is probably actually that's probably a big group. But also it's kind of interesting referencing Saul's slaughter of Christians, a story of a guy who persecuted Christians every chance he got,
and then
had a divine experience and became one of the most famous apostles to ever, arguably the most influential follower of Jesus after, being a persecutor of them. Hello. And I mean, it's kind of referencing anybody right now who is, oh, I don't know, writing long, rambling articles about how Christians are going to bring down the whole country might have an opportunity to be touched by God and become a very influential apostle.
Well, I think they are
meta. It's kind of blowing my mind.
Well, I think they're also trying to say that, the MAGA wing and the Republican Party, they are the old Saul. They're killing Christian, but then they will see the light and they will be transformed by the touch of deity, and then they'll come to their side of the aisle or something like that. I don't know. It's an interesting play there. But he continues on here. I'm waiting for Mel Brooks to break out into song. Let all those who wish to confess their evil ways and accept and embrace the true church convert now or forever burn in hell. For now begins the Inquisition. Which I thought was interesting. I know the Mel Brooks reference. I don't understand it per se. I know what it's from with the Mel Brooks thing there, but to mention the Inquisition, I thought was kind of interesting because if you recall, we played that Manly P. Hall clip a few weeks ago. I had quoted it in Age of Deceit 3. It's basically Manly P. Hall saying that, in the 21st century, the Freemasons are going to have their time to rise or whatever. And just like the Knights Templar, that had done throughout the centuries, we're going to rout out corruption in governments and everything else. And so now you have this time where, the U.S. system is under a lot of pressure and, to make the MAGA thing in comparison to the Inquisition, I think is interesting. It's kind of like, oh, yeah. The premier Freemasons said they're going to do that in the 90s. So, yeah. Of course, it kind of makes sense that you're recognizing it. But all right, the House of Representatives, now run by Johnson, offers a discount version of the apocalyptic orgasm the Holy Rollers have dreamed of for years. Very colorful language. They've renewed the Inquisition and seem determined to convert the U.S. into a theocracy run by people who will thump you with the Bible but haven't read much of it. Now, there is a part of that I agree with, that there is this element of, using or weaponizing the word for political purposes. So I can agree with them there, but also you're sort of assisting in the other side of things to categorize these people all as terrorists and use this broad brush. So there you go. But also still no example from scripture, by the way.
Yeah, they don't actually bring any scripture into it unless they're trying to sort of erroneously make a point.
Which they try to do here. Lord, how they love to preach fire and brimstone. It's talking about the evangelicals and the MAGA and all that. But the Sermon on the Mount and the Beatitudes, forget it. Matthew 25:40. Whatever you did it for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Not a chance. They embraced only the Old Testament angry God and the apocalyptic parts of Revelation brought on by ergot poisoning. They want no separation of church and state. They want an isolationist country surrounded by walls and dedicated to the proposition that the First Amendment guarantees them right to worship any way they want, while forcing the rest of us to worship the way they choose. And it goes on and on here. I mean,
that's just... No, okay. All right. So, okay. None of this makes any sense. It's nothing. It's just
ramblings.
Angry sort of undergrad journalism person using AI to try to, get the sort of Christian spin on things. It's not great. So is there a point to all this?
Well, he says none of that matters. He goes through all the stuff and he says none of that matters to Republicans. They revel in their own chicanery. They despise free thought and independence. Didn't he just talk about how they were all about the First Amendment? Okay, whatever. And are happy to play games with the government shutdown, the modern equivalent of fiddling while it all burns. Stay tuned. November 17th, the next shutdown deadline is just around the corner. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. No, you know what? And then he rants about Trump. And then he's kind of sad at the end. He's sad about the situation. He is feeling grief. He says you might think that all of this would be serious food for thought in the news, talking about all the stuff happening he goes through a lot of things: hurricanes, climate change, Gaza, the whole thing. But people are so tired of thinking about life on the razor's edge that most news seems about as palatable as raw sewage, which is an all too accurate metaphor. Our problem in the press is that we have so few people with the experience and education to handle the serious issues facing us. So whether it is a possible world war, stochastic terrorism, Christian theocracy, climate change, Donald Trump, our own government, or something else unforeseen, for most people, it is a time of trepidation and terror.
Okay. Stochastic terrorism, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Stochastic being of, relating to, or characterized by conjecture, involving or containing random variable or process conjecture. So conjecture terrorism, that seems like the 100% definition of this article.
Yep.
This article is stochastic terrorism. It's conjecture. It's there's absolutely no substance to the sort of infantile fury that this writer is sort of laying upon the reader.
I like how they recognize the problem too, with basically echoing what you said about this guy or this gal, the journalist, in sort of the inadequate adolescent sort of approach to this. But then saying that it's because there's nobody in the press that has experience to tackle these issues. And it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of why social media is a thing. You know, you can kind of go to people that know things, or at least, have conversations with them and have a discussion.
This is very interesting in the context of last episode's article. Maybe it was Monday, but the call for more witchcraft in journalism,
right? Yeah.
More reporting, more exploration of the sort of supernatural beliefs of people being the sort of most important
driving factor
of what you could talk about.
Yeah.
This is sort of a really bad attempt, and we've seen it lots of times, but this being particularly sort of offensive, a really bad attempt to fill the gap of the misunderstanding or lack of understanding of sort of the supernatural worldview belief system of people in the media, of like just how important, in their words, they call it witchcraft and they include prayer and everything in there, but how that actually determines almost everything going on. And it's a good example of why they want, actually educated master's degrees in witchcraft to be in the media,
makes sense
and
now.
not somebody using ChatGPT to sort of shoehorn random samples of whatever in there.
Yeah, well, that's another good point. This author, Brian Karam, columnist, is recognizing the inadequacy or the impotency of their current situation in journalism, and it's largely because, I think, as you mentioned, they've ignored basically the main driving factor of all politics, which is more supernaturalism, spiritualism, whatever it may be.
It's like this person read that article, a call for more expertise in witchcraft, and was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah,
but like they don't have the expertise.
Speak it into existence. MAGA theocrats are terrorists. Where's your evidence? Well, look at all these people. Their evil ways. They read the Bible. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else here? I mean,
I just want to mention
now Christian nationalism more dangerous than Hamas members coming across the southern border.
Well, and that is one of my big points from episode 159 back in June of Canary Cry Radio. We left a link in the description. The truth about Christian nationalism was that it's this whole phrase or label, Christian nationalism, is being set up to be for Christians to be like, oh yeah, I identify as that, and then for the establishment to be like, oh yeah, then you're a terrorist. And that was my big point. And then it's funny because Salon is making that point, but not from our perspective. It's almost like they're familiar with the argument, but then they're like, well, no, we're going to make sure that people still believe it, and push for it.
Well, they did a great job of, sort of defending their reputation over at Salon as a steaming pile of garbage.
Right. Yeah. It's all about freedom. Okay. Are you good?
Well, it's Freedom Friday, baby. We made it.
It's Friday.
Keep playing with the Friday thing.
You gonna learn today?
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit.
Are you not entertained? Every day. It's Friday. It's Friday.
That's right. It's Friday, folks. We are cranking today, and we're just gonna keep moving. Do you have anything important to tell us about over the past couple days, Guns? Anything interesting?
I just saw in the chat that I promised that I would be in the Discord a little bit more, and then I broke that promise because I have not been in there, and somebody called me out on it. So yeah, I'll try to be in there a little bit more. Yeah, there's that. But also, just real quick, I have to share this.
It's Newsom science, baby! Ha!
Did you see the clip of Gavin Newsom playing basketball with little Chinese children in China?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, if you didn't see it, here's kind of the play-by-play. So here's Gavin. He's spinning the ball on his finger. He's about to go, I don't know, 1-on-5 or something with these kids. I don't know how old are these kids, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
They're young, yeah.
They're young. He's on a basketball court. There's a bunch of press or whatever. And he has the ball at the top there. He's about to make his move. And behind the back, a little spin move, back the other way. And, right into a little kid who was trying to take the charge. Just flattens him. And then he kind of hugs him and rolls over. And, gotcha. Yeah. Trying to play it off. But, Gavin Newsom.
It's really something. It's really something, that he's even in China. Everybody knows that that's very suspicious, probably trying to set up some presidential, I don't know, foundations there. Yeah. But to get into the mind of it's like a Will Ferrell movie. The mind of a man who, first of all, has been caught colluding with China economically, taking advantage of federal COVID money, making $1 billion deal with a mask company that never delivered the whole thing. You give the whole history, and then the mind of a man who goes to China as an American governor, and then says, "Oh, your whole team of 7-year-old Chinese kids, I could take them on. Let me show you what a real American looks like. I could take on as many 7-year-olds as you got, China. Bring it up." And he does.
And he spanks him.
And he takes it. He's obviously taking it very seriously.
Way too seriously. He's doing spin moves behind the back.
The tunnel vision that look, you only smack into a 7-year-old and totally flatten him if you're so focused on winning the game that
you're not aware of your surroundings.
Your number one priority is not
don't hurt the children.
Don't destroy a child. That should be his number one priority, and keep an eye out for it. But his obvious priority is to totally dominate these 7-year-old Chinese kids. That's the kind of optics I need
it's
to
bad.
Run for president.
It's bad. So he's obviously they're on the ground. He kind of grabs him and rolls him over. And there's a moment where he brings his hand around. He kind of smacks him on the butt.
He starts spanking him.
Spanking him.
He starts spanking the Chinese kid on the ground. It is so bizarre. I don't know. It's golden is what it is.
I like I said before, there's a part of me, obviously, I want this guy to go away. I want him to disappear. I want him to just not be around. But also, there is a part of me, I don't know, maybe like a small sadistic part of me or something that's like, oh yeah, I want the whole country to feel this right here. I want the whole country to be like, Newsom's our guy, have like longtime politicians or, people in church be like, we got to pray for the president, pray for Newsom. Oh, man.
This clip needs to be downloaded and archived. We need to clip even just the audio. You want to play it real quick just for the audio and we can be
sure
quiet. Even just having that clip, we should just have it at hand. I want to play it. I want to put it on a jingle board and just play the Chinese parents reacting to him flattening. Because if he does run for president, the clip of him just laying on the ground with a Chinese child, spanking him over and over, that should
just be a channel. It should be Newsom spanks Chinese child and just this clip running 24/7.
There needs to be a dedicated YouTube channel. And you know how they have like 10-hour loops of different songs or something? Yeah. We need a 10-hour loop of Newsom just spanking this Chinese child on the ground. We thought hairy legs was bad and Biden sniffing children left and right was bad. This he will never ever live this down as long as I'm alive. And it's not a challenge, Gavin. Please don't take that as a challenge.
Oh, he'll up it. He'll up it. I have confidence in Gavin.
It's really incredible. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that's a good enough update for both of us, I think.
Okay.
I will say thank you to the producers for praying for my sickness. I am slowly improving. I'm not by any means better, but I'm here. I'm here.
Yep.
I'm still trapped in sort of a prison of my own plugged up ears.
Oh, yeah. How are those bathtubs in your metaverse? Is that taken care of or?
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah. For those, I don't know when I said this, but just so everybody knows, as I was preparing for the show today, actually I just started the show. I think I was doing the pre-show.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, in my metaverse podcast studio, 2 bathtubs, just ceramic bathtubs, fell from the sky and are sitting right in front of me. I have no idea why they're here.
Airdrop. Bathtub airdrop. You didn't hear about it?
Yeah. I don't know if this is a threat or a gift. I don't know where they came from, but they are still here. I'm doing this whole show with 2 metaverse bathtubs in front of me. Okay. All right. Well, let's thank some producers, Gons.
Executive producers.
That's right. We're on the value for value, folks, which means we do not sell your mind. We hope you don't mind. That's right. We don't take any money from commies, cartels, or corporations. We're entirely funded by people who get value from this show. And it might seem elementary. It might seem like simply asking for donations or something like that, but that's not quite it. Not quite it. It's an evolution of the generosity of strangers to keep this show alive. It's a paradigm shift. It's if you get value from the show and you want the show to continue, you must produce the show. You become a part of the apparatus that keeps this show going, because we can't do it without the producers. And the producers, they come in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. Some people lending their gifts, lending their talents, lending their time, and of course, lending their finances to keep the show alive. And you can learn more by going to canarycry.support. But the executive producers are those who come in with $100 or more per episode for any individual episode to keep the show going. And we appreciate them very much. And I'm going to start with the man, the myth, the legend, the one who is building a fortress of executive producerships. That's executive producer Sir Alex Protocol V2, Night of the Berean Protocol. $100.33. Thank you. I don't want to speculate live what's going on over there. I don't know if he found a chest of gold bars. I don't know if he, stole somebody's credit card. I don't know what's going on, but I am enthused by the blessings that the Lord has placed on Sir Alex Protocol V2, now to the Bream Protocol, and I appreciate the extension of those blessings onto us. And that's kind of, well, let me finish here with Sir Alex Protocol. He's supported the show 230 episodes in a row, and 26 of those have been executive producer streak. Oh yeah, streakalicious.
Executive streak. One more and he'll be an executive producing firmament buster. That's like completely new territory.
Incredible. He is a pioneer, a frontiersman of the highest order, and we will find a way to recognize him for that. Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol V2 to Night of the Brain Protocol.
Where'd you find this?
Just to reiterate, we're not asking anybody to put themselves at financial risk. It's really just an opportunity to pray, ask the Lord what kind of value you get from the show, what value would be missing from your life if this show was not here. And of course, do not sacrifice food or medicine or a roof over your head for the show. But if the Lord sees that you have a little extra to put towards what you want to propagate in the world, we invite you to do so here. We have another executive producer, which has kind of an interesting spin to it, but we'll thank them now. Executive producer Dwight B.
Dwight B. Thank you.
And I'm going to go ahead and round this up to 133.33.
All right.
Illuminatus!
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Executive producer Dwight B. Been a producer for a long time. And here's his note. His note says, Basil, hearing your message this Wednesday, I quickly understood why I had mysteriously received 2 identical packages during the last supply drop delivery. Therefore, I am sending 33 times 3 to cover that cost, as well as 1 extra 33.33.
Oh, wow.
So sorry. Well, thank you very much, Dwight B. I certainly, we don't expect all the people who have been getting free supply drops to make up for it. And I want to be clear. I don't know if I made this clear enough. It's not their fault that this was happening.
It's not their fault. Yeah.
It was mostly my fault, but I also put some blame on our payment processors because I don't know why you wouldn't send a notification if somebody cancels or something. But that's all history now. So just so everybody knows, if you've been one of the ones getting the supply drop for free, it is my fault. You should feel no shame. But Dwight took the opportunity to executive produce the show to pay recompense for the blessings that he has been.
That's, I like that. If there's any message from this episode, it's that there are honest, honorable men.
Yes.
I'm assuming Dwight is a man out there still, and that's good. Not that anybody who got an extra package that didn't say anything is not honorable, but it's just the sort of temperament of our producers. So thank you so much, Dwight B.
No blame on them, but it is a noble thing for Dwight B to do this. Thank you very much. And there you go. If anybody out there was looking for inspiration on how to make things right, there's one thing to do it. You know what? I want to thank somebody who signed up for the supply drop. They are a part of the Canary Cry Babysitters Club.
Before you do, let me just make it official for Dwight B.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you very much.
There you go. Nick Twisp B said, I gave my extra supply drop to a friend. That's very nice. Okay, there's a couple things to run through very quickly. First of all, we want to thank supply drop producer Shanna M for joining the supply drop and therefore the Babysitters Club.
Oh, the Babysitters Club. I don't even have that thing ready.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. We need to move quick here.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Shanna M.
Thank you, Shanna M.
Magic harp. Give her a magic harp or something. There we go. Okay. A couple quick notes. Because we are wrapping up the supply drop stuff. Look out in your email box for an email from Sir Ike. We're going to play actually a quick message from him. Actually, why don't we just do that right now?
Sure. Here's Sir Ike.
Hey, Canarians. This is Sir Ike from the Supply Drop. I've got a couple of announcements I need to make. Number one, I'm finalizing the lists for Q3, getting ready to go out here in the next few weeks. If you have had a change of address, I need to know that very soon. That way I can get that package to you in the mail the first time. Secondly, if you are a member of the Babysitters Club, I sent you an email yesterday that I need some information from you. If you could get that filled out to me and back by Wednesday, I would appreciate it. Thanks.
That's right. Okay, so keep an eye out for emails from Canary Cry Supply Drop at gmail.com. There's very important things, opportunities to update your shipping and stuff like that. Yeah, that's it. Man, I feel like I had more stuff to say, but I can't remember what it is. So yeah, keep an eye out. I will be sending an email to all the people who were getting supply drops and not technically signed up for it, because I get it. Maybe they thought they were signed up. They don't necessarily look at every, charge on their PayPal or something. And if they want to make sure to continue receiving it, I want to make sure they get the chance to do that. And so, yeah, just keep a lookout for all of that. Go to canarycrysupply.com. And I don't have the exact number, but we still, technically, if you sign up for the supply drop, you're still joining the Babysitters Club, so you'll get a free shirt when you sign up. Yeah, man, there's a lot of sort of vitriol being splashed by particular members of the chat right now regarding the supply drop. And I have asked them many times to just talk to us about resolving an issue, and they have refused to do so. I think it's because they just kind of like being mad, and that's what's going on. So that's fine. If that's how you want to live your life, that's okay. But if you actually want to figure something out, go ahead, send us an email. And okay, we've only got a couple more producers, so we're just going to thank them real quick. Here we go. We had Sir Marty K, Night of the Wrong Timeline, produce the show for 4444.
Thank you, Sir Marty K.
Yeah, thank you very much. He sent us. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. Okay, so Sir Marty K sent us a private note, so I'm not going to read the note. But Marty K is is a fella who lives in a place that he cannot actually receive the supply drop due to like some nanny state regulation stuff in his country. And so he wants to donate his actual shipment of the supply drop to someone who wants to do it. And we've talked about doing the supply drop scholarship for quite some time. And so keep an eye out. We'll be putting together an opportunity that if you want to receive all the cool stuff, but it's just not in the budget, we totally understand, you can sign up, put your name on a list, and then if people want to sort of donate their package to a deserving Canarian, then they can do that. And people who, want to sign up for extras to sponsor somebody to get the supply drop, that'll all be available. Keep an eye out for stuff like that. So thank you very much, Sir Marty K, for your generosity and your producership. He's on a 2-episode streak.
Oh, there you go. 2-episode streak.
Okay, next up, we've got, of course, Malik W. coming in, pocket full of sevens, 34-episode streak.
Malik, 34.
And that's it. That concludes the list of financial producers who come in over the amount of 777. We got some underneath that. There are long-term streakers, and we'll thank them now. Sir Morv, Night of the Burning Chariots, 294 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Morv.
Dr. Who Done That, 24 in a row.
Thank you, Dr. Who Done That.
Veronica D, 324 in a row.
Veronica D, thank you.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 348 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer and Lady of X's and O's, 319 in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
Sir Case of the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
363 in a row. Thank you very much. Head on over to canarycry.support, folks, to get involved. We only are here because of these people who are producing the show. So thank them, thank God for them. And of course, we are all responsible for our own involvement in this entire world of the things that we want to exist. No longer we are saying no thank you to the corporate system that has previously been in charge of deciding whether media exists or doesn't exist based on their ability to pay money in order to manipulate the minds of viewers or listeners of any particular piece of media. And we stand by that, and we will suffer for it, and we will prosper for it as the Lord wills. But there you go. It's time for the Flippy update.
Canary cried back support.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yeah, that's right, folks. Time for the Flippy update. So strap on your seatbelts. It's time. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from zdnet.com. zdnet.com. Innovation tomorrow belongs to those who embrace it today. zdnet.com. Okay, listen up, folks. The future belongs to those who embrace it. Robots are servicing short-staffed restaurants, but what happens to the human waiters? It has a little sub-headline here: to ease job scarcity, and to push back on employee demands. Against low wages and long hours. Okay, restaurant owners are turning to a robotic solution. Now, this is an extremely long and dense article that is sort of, I don't know, it's kind of tries to take both sides, but is maybe one of the most thorough when it comes to the effects on wait staff. We've seen previously, because every article about robots, it's ultimately trying to promote the robots. And that's why they come up with ideas like cobots, cooperative robots, and trying to justify getting more robots into the restaurants. But this article is just not afraid to say it. Like, yeah, employees are asking for more money because of inflation, and they're tired of being treated like, robots working long hours with no breaks, and restaurant owners are just replacing them. That's what's happening. This is a employment war going on, and the humans are losing. And then it comes around at the very end. But let me give you a taste. Situated in one of Atlanta's wealthiest neighborhoods, Wing Factory in Buckhead serves up a slew of feel-good fried foods. When hungry guests stop by, they know they can order wings that are spicy, extra crispy, and, of course, lemon peppery, of course. Inside the restaurant is a tribute to Atlanta sports teams. Sportcasts celebrating big wins and mourning devastating losses are broadcast on a mounted TV. Georgia Bulldogs and Atlanta Braves, Falcons and Hawks memorabilia hanging on the walls. Old-timey Coca-Cola artwork fills the spaces in between. But an unexpected object stands in the corner of the restaurant, a robot, and it's not just there for show. This robot works at Wing Factory, serving food, clearing dirty dishes, and greeting customers. Over the last 3 years, Wing Factory's owner, Michael Giovanni, had challenges finding reliable employees. He said people will take a job and then stop showing up or quit shortly after. Something needed to change. But Giovanni didn't have a solution until he discovered robot servers. And he's not alone. Amid labor shortages, restaurants across the U.S. are now employing robots alongside human waiters. So, on one hand, we do need to give credit where credit's due. On one hand, restaurant owners are having issues retaining employees. Now, some radical psycho out there might say, well, if you're having trouble retaining employees, you should treat them better, pay them more, work them less, do things that humans need to stick around in a situation. But you know what? This is America, and sometimes treating humans like humans just isn't an option, Gons, and I'm tired of the radical left telling us that it is. And so we get the robots in here. And they go through a few examples. Now, the Flippy Update listeners, they know. We already know all this kind of stuff. We're very aware of the entire conversation, so I don't need to read the whole thing. But it does end in kind of an interesting way. It says here at the very end, verdict, humans are still needed. Yay. You hear that, humans? It's great. Giovanni and William say they never intended for their robots to replace their employees, and that no employees were let go after adding in the robot support. They say they recognize. Okay. So first of all, they missed the point. Okay. It's not that robots necessarily will be hired and then employees let go. It is the point that the robots encourage and perpetuate the conditions that make working a bad situation for people. Now, let me be clear. I make everybody mad because on one hand, yeah, I get it. I mean, I have had this similar situation. I've probably had a more similar situation to job placement in my life, to sort of the more boomer aspect of it. You do stuff you don't want to do. You work. Sorry, were you saying something?
No, keep going.
Oh, sorry, I was getting some bounce back, I think. You do things you don't want to do. You spend time that you could be doing other things. Working is working. It's the way the world goes. And it's, sometimes you just got to power through. That's what life is about, overcoming bad situations. But what's going on here is that the use of the robots is perpetuating the ability of restaurant owners to keep conditions poor, meaning that they don't have to replace employees because the employees are leaving on their own due to bad working conditions and low wages, especially as a server. I mean, that's a tough gig. It continues here. They say they recognize that human employees are an indispensable asset to the restaurant industry. Service robots' sole job is to overtake tasks that hinder human employees from doing what they do best, connecting with other humans. Malloy believes that the interpersonal connections made in the workplace are unsurpassable and irreplaceable. All right, so this particular article that is trying so valiantly to defend humans in the workplace is coming to the conclusion that it's really just the presence of another human that is the value that humans can bring, which on one hand, I kind of agree. The presence of a human is an indispensable, irreplaceable sort of spiritual reality. But on the other hand, over and over and over, we've seen companies putting all their eggs in the basket of creating social robots, the caretaking robots that can sit and chat with the elderly, the robots that can be friends to your children, the humanizing aspects of AI and robots that, there's a lot of resources going into making them at least some sort of stand-in for the social aspect of humans. It goes on, quote, only humans capable of empathy, flexibility, and emotional intelligence can manage the nuanced interpretations that are nearly always required to generate the best outcome. Malloy says, quote, that's why people will always be essential to customer service delivery. We can certainly benefit from automation, but will never be replaced by it. See, we've heard that before. So
liar.
In the same. Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say liar.
Yeah, right. It's very interesting because on one hand, this article tries its very best to defend the existence of humans in in customer service, but they're missing the main point, which the main point is the reason restaurants exist in the first place is for the benefit of humans. They are teetering dangerously on the edge of, yeah, we can just make a restaurant for robots by robots. We don't even, really need humans. That's what the article talks about. But at the end, they're just saying, yeah, we need it. It's kind of indispensable because really you need a human in the building to make another human feel that they are participating in society. Otherwise, you're kind of just playing a video game in real life. If everywhere you go, you're just met by automation and technology, you might as well just be in the metaverse. You might as well be dealing with, robotic NPCs. And they try their best to come in and say, yes, humans are needed. It's kind of like with the story of the orphans around the world, but specifically in Eastern Europe, where orphans were growing up in these orphanages where they were given their food, they were given everything except for love. They weren't picked up. And these orphans were just dying because they weren't being picked up, they weren't being talked to, they weren't being cared for in that human way. And what they found out was that, children need love. They need humans to talk to and hold them and stuff, or else they just die. That love part of it is essential to survival, not just having a good time. And on one hand, they are saying humans are still needed, specifically because the customer is a human. They need a human in the building. However, the actual work involved can just be done by robots. And I think it's setting up a very peculiar version of the future where, a human's job may just be being in the building and talking to people as the robots do the rest of the work. I don't know. It's very interesting, and also I thought it was interesting how their most valiant attempt at justifying the existence of humans having jobs in restaurants still came down to literally, yeah, we don't really need them to work. We just need them to be there, or else it creeps other humans out.
Well, I think, and we've been going quite a long while with this Flippy, but this is going to lead to some kind of apartheid type of situation where, there are segregated parts of society where robots are full service, everything, and either, limited or no robot service areas or hubs or something like that. So I can see that taking place. But also, at the end of this article, you just mentioned it, how, the humans, they're able to have empathy and emotions and stuff, right? Emotional intelligence, capable of empathy, flexibility, nuanced interpretations, yada, yada, yada. Those are all things that the AI and robots are already encroaching on. You look at we've talked about what is it? I forget the name of the robot now. Weibo? Was it Weibo? I forget. The Sony robot
a bunch of them, yeah.
In Japan that was hanging out with the elderly, and they're doing funerals for him and stuff now. So this thing about empathy and emotional intelligence, it's already happening from the machine. So it's kind of it's a weak excuse to try to keep you. And it is kind of insulting almost. It's like, yeah, your actual, muscle work or just your ability to carry food around, not so important anymore. It's more about looking at your customer in the eye and letting them know, yes, a human was involved in this, the creation of this food.
Yeah, it's kind of like virtue signaling.
Yeah,
It's the existence of a human is just sort of the virtue signaling that keeps.
I feel like that's
the
what
system going.
That's what politics is, in a sense. It's like, yes, we look at Joe Fall. He is still a human. I mean, we're at that point. Okay, good there.
Yeah, I'm good. Let's talk about Fauci.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. COVID-19.
COVID-19.
COVID-19. COVID-19.
Coronavirus.
Vaccine. I am vaccine. Vaccine, number one way.
Science is truth.
Data. You do not know what you are talking about.
Good old Fauci, according to dailymail.co.uk. Headline, revealed Anthony Fauci run lab in Montana experimented with coronavirus strains shipped in from Wuhan a year before COVID pandemic began.
Oopsie daisies.
Yikes.
Oopsie
Yikes.
daisies.
Anthony, Tony, what are you doing, Tony? U.S. taxpayer money was used to experiment with coronavirus from the Chinese lab thought to be the source of the COVID pandemic more than a year before the global outbreak. An investigation has found the National Institute of Health, under Dr. Anthony Fauci's leadership, infected 12 Egyptian fruit bats with a SARS-like virus called WIV1 at the lab in Montana in 2018. The WIV1 coronavirus was shipped from the Wuhan lab the FBI believes caused the COVID pandemic and was tested on bats acquired from a roadside Maryland zoo. Yikes. The research revealed this week by a campaign group determined the novel virus could not cause a robust infection. But the research is more evidence of ties between the U.S. government and the Wuhan lab, as well as the funding of dangerous virus research across the globe. And it's got some pictures here of the lab at the Rocky Mountains, the Catoctin Wildlife Preserve in Montana, where they got the stuff, the Camp David. There's more here, but the article continues. The paper, SARS-like coronavirus WIV1 CoV does not replicate in Egyptian fruit bats, was published in the journal Viruses in 2018. The study was first flagged by Drastic, a group of internet activists who investigate the origins of COVID-19 and the lab leak theory. The group White Coat Waste Project is now using the Freedom of Information Act to request more details about the experiment. I like that. The White Coat Waste Project is a watchdog that has been fighting to stop sending American tax dollars overseas to fund dangerous virus research. All right. Noble cause there. The 2018 experiment. Sorry, hold on. Ironically, giving raisins to my son. That'll make sense in a moment. The White Coat Waste Project is a watchdog that has been fighting to stop. I just read that. Let's see. Where am I? 2018 experiment was carried out by the NIH's Rocky Mountain Laboratories in Montana, which was overseen by Fauci, the former director of NIH. The research was a joint venture between NIH's Rocky Mountain Laboratories and Wuhan Institute of Virology. Collaborator Ralph Barrick of the University of North Carolina. Scientists obtained 12 Egyptian fruit bats from the Maryland Zoo and inoculated them with the WIV1 coronavirus, which was first detected in Chinese Rufous horseshoe bats. And it goes on here. Is there anything that... Oh, I have something highlighted here. What's highlighted? They talk about the bats a little bit more. Located in Thurmont, Maryland, less than 15 minutes from Camp David, the Catoctin Wildlife Preserve has a history of animal welfare violations and was fined $12,000 in 2012 for poor and dangerous animal housing and inadequate animal care. Sounds like the perfect place for Fauci to get in there and be like, I need some fruit flies for data. Records show the preserve confined 523 federally regulated animals as of April 2023, including 241 bats, of which 41 were Egyptian fruit flies. Okay, so there's more here. There's some history of obviously of this type of stuff going on, and they get into some of the lab leak theories. But yeah, it's interesting because the first thing when stuff started happening with COVID, I remember, and I think we shared it on the show as well, and I have receipts on Twitter, X, whatever, of a document that was being shared around some of our peers. It was basically straight from the website, nih.gov, of funding that was given from NIH to the Wuhan Lab of Virology to study coronaviruses. It wasn't SARS-CoV-2, but it was coronaviruses back in 2015. And it was through the EcoHealth Alliance. All those names were there on a document in 2020 when everything broke, everything locked down, we were looking at that stuff right away, and we're like, yeah, it's documented on their own website. Like, hello, is anybody paying attention to this?
Right.
And so obviously, October 31st, 2023, now we have more evidence from, I guess internet groups that are doing white coat type of investigations, which I think is interesting that, they sort of credit these groups for discovering these things, but it's kind of just been out on the internet for a couple of years, I guess connecting the dots and presenting it is nice, but it is interesting. And I don't think it's going too well for Anthony Fauci, although, he's like Teflon, man. He's retired. He's sailing off into the sunset, which will end up being something else that's burning there. But in my opinion, what are your thoughts, Basil? You think this is going to actually change anything in terms of Fauci's fate this side of?
I just love. See, this is the thing with the Daily Mail. Like, it's kind of considered a rag. Nobody really. The real fancy pantsy journalists, they don't really take it seriously. But it's the only place that you can find this information about Fauci, and you follow the sources and it's all true. It's like this. It kind of gives me a little bit of hope, actually, that things are happening under the surface, regardless of what's going on in the Middle East, regardless of blah, blah, blah. There are people, there are heroes out there who are doing the work to at least try to find justice. And, probably he'll never be brought to justice. He'll never have to pay for what he did because he covered for too many people. He failed up. That's how our government works.
Yeah.
He did what he was told. He took the blame. He repeated the mantras. He did everything right. And because of that, the powers that be are going to protect him forever. But at least the documentation that we weren't crazy is that's worth something to me,
Well, I
don't necessarily expect justice.
No.
There's something sad about that, but I do still take I don't know, solace that people are actually still moving forward.
I think they call it in sports anyway. The what's the term? It's not sentimental victory. There's a word for it that they use when they lose, but it's a moral victory, maybe is what it's called. Yeah. But, I will say that like 50, 60 years from now, unless the Lord returns, if our children's children, our grandchildren maybe are looking up like, oh, what did grandpa think about this? Oh, he lived through the pandemic. What was going on? They can at least be proud, or maybe not. Maybe they'll look at us like we were actually crazy, but that we actually called stuff out before everybody else did. And it's all documented at the very least, in a sense. But
and people like us, it's not just about us.
No, it's not just about us. Obviously, there's a whole community of people that have been doing that forever, which is why I think it was interesting to cite certain groups that are doing this. Maybe it's because they are groups and they are, presenting it in an organized fashion. But Basil, your hope talk there starting to sound a lot like maybe you'll find some Baz Anon drops, some Baz drops on 7chan or something. That's where you're starting to sound a little
the hopium,
little hopium. Yeah. The false light there. So just be careful.
Daily Mail's doing it for us. Daily Mail, that's dropping the Baz drops.
Real quick, Nephilim update. This is coming from Vice Motherboard. That's right. Vice, cutting edge of cool. Headline here. Anomalies deep inside Earth are wreckage of crashed alien world, scientists propose. Crashed alien world, the center of Earth, Basil. What lies in the abyss? Scientists have proposed that the wreckage of a long-lost alien world is buried about 1,800 miles under our feet, reports a new study. This mind-boggling hypothesis suggests that strange anomalies in Earth's interior may be relics of a world that smashed into our planet some 4.5 billion years ago, and that similar ancient remnants may lurk inside other celestial bodies. The infant solar system was much wilder and more tumultuous than it is today, and we know that because computers, with lots of crashes between small embryonic worlds called protoplanets. Scientists have long suspected that an ancient protoplanet known as Theia, which could have been as large as Mars, hurtled. I was like, what? Hurtled into Earth in this period. This catastrophic collision ejected debris from Theia and Earth into space, where it eventually coalesced into the moon. So the theory goes. Now, around here we have a little bit of, we're not experts or anything, but we got a little bit of knowledge of ancient mythology and Greek mythology and things like that. Anytime any space thing uses a name, there's always some tie-in with esotericism, sometimes straight up occultism, but usually coming from Greek or Roman mythology, which has ties to Hermeticism and going all the way back to ancient Sumeria and basically Babylon, the whole deal. But Theia, if you go to the Pseudo Apollodorus Bibliotheca, is considered a titan. The Titans had children, and one of them being Hyperion and Theia had children, Eos, which is dawn, Helios, sun, and Selene, moon. So Theia in the mythology is someone who gave birth to the moon. And another reference here, Theia is one of the 12 female titans. She's a female Nephilim. She's a Nephilim. Theia and her 11 siblings, Oceanus, Coeus, Cronus, Crius, Hyperion, Lepidus, Tethys, Themis, Phoebe, which I think is another moon's name, Menomsini, and Rhea, ruled the world prior to the Olympians and are the foundation for much of Greek mythology. It is believed that the Titans created mankind. Theia married her brother Hyperion, god of the sun and heavenly light. Theia and Hyperion had 3 children, Helios, Selene, and Eos, which is the sun, moon, and the dawn. So, yeah, that's the mythology. But hey, guess what? Now a scientist led by Qian Yuan, a postdoctoral scholar in geophysics at the California Institute of Technology, present new evidence that remnants of Theia may have also become lodged deep in the Earth's mantle, where they have survived to the present day. This hypothesis could explain the curious presence of 2 massive blobs inside Earth known as large low-velocity provinces, LLVPs, which appear denser than the surrounding mantle and seismic observations of our planet's interior, since seismic waves travel through them at a significantly lower velocity than the surrounding material. So there's a couple blobs in the Earth, Basil, that don't act like the rest of the mantle, and now they're saying that it's a moon. No, it's an old planet or something. It's Theia, the goddess, one of the Nephilim that may have been lodged there. It sounds kind of like the abyss where some angels are trapped. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. They mentioned that this guy, Yuan, first started pondering about LLVPs and the remnants of Theia while he was doing his PhD work at Arizona State University, the Sun Devils, and the hub of transhumanism back in 2012 when we were starting to dig into transhumanism, actually 2010, 2011, 2012. Arizona State University had a whole website on transhumanism and a bunch of lectures and studies and stuff like that. So they were talking about those issues way back then. He developed the concept with his colleagues using geodynamical models and formally presented it at the 52nd Lunar and Planetary Science Conference in 2021. Now, Yuan and his team have built on those initial findings by, hold on, let me get a computer voice.
Running much more advanced simulations of the giant impact that likely formed the moon.
Ooh.
As well as the long-term fallout of this clash inside the infant Earth. So yeah, better computer models, Basil. The computers are telling us that ancient Greek mythology, true. We got Nephilim in the Earth. They're blobs in the Earth. And they made the moon.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's pretty interesting. I mean, I know that I had heard the theory that, a planet crashed into us and that's kind of how the moon broke off and blah, 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 blah. But I had never heard this sort of esoteric connection be made by the scientists. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and the fact that they literally have computer models that show it must be true. Must be true. They got the CGI.
This 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 computer model thing is very interesting. I mean, of course, it's all the AI. It's wrapped up into everything. The AI is the computer models. In fact, even in the recent what is it called? Executive order by Biden.
They got to label everything.
There's a lot of what?
Well, they have to start labeling, watermark everything that's AI. A bunch of NASA footage, is it going to have a watermark that says this was made with AI?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, they got to start watermarking the research that comes out of their computer models. All the climate change data is just going to be all watermarked as AI. Well, and that's interesting with the executive order. One of the most concerning parts about it is they actually define AI.
Yeah.
And they define it so broadly.
I know, I saw
that. It literally any computation, like turning
2 +
on
2
your
is
computer.
4. Yeah.
By their definition is AI. And so, yeah, they're just digging themselves a hole. But it's really crazy. It's kind of funny. In sci-fi, there's always, in all good sci-fi and in all bad sci-fi, one of the sort of defining characteristics of science fiction is like connecting the future with the myths of the past. They do it all the time, with Prometheus and the movie Prometheus and everything, naming planets after the Greek or Roman pantheon. There's this inseparable connection between our fictionalized version of the future and the mythological version of the past, and they just absolutely love it. And so AI, going back to Carl Teichribb and a lot of our Burning Man research, the age of reenchantment, you have AI, this broadly defined computational process in the in the executive order, but just kind of in general is not only a force that is kind of representative of the future and like a lot of the unknowns about what's going to happen, but also is trying to circle back around on the sort of mythologized worldview that humans just can't get away from. It really is this like age of reenchantment that even in the most technologically forward areas of human civilization, they have to loop it back around to things from thousands of years ago, early Christian history. And in this case, we got some biblical sort of Nephilim references about the creation of the moon. It's perfect.
Yeah, we'll find out that the aliens made us, apparently, according to Alex Jones. So,
Alex, thanks, Alex.
We are.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. We're
ready to go.
Pushing on the time. I need to get the daughter at the school.
Yep. Yes, you do. So let's go ahead and do that. Folks, we have plans to get started even earlier than usual next week. We're still kind of working with this new schedule with the kid in school and stuff like that. So thanks for being with us. And for those who are sending in art and speak pipes and things like that, tune in Monday. We're going to have all that on Monday. And remember, if you're an artist, you want to create something for the show, no matter what it is, you go to canarycry.art. And this was something, any other confusion, canarycry.art is not an email address. That is not an email address that you send the art to. Canarycry.art is a URL. So up in your address bar of your browser, type in canarycry.art, or if you're fancy, you can do https:// the whole thing, canarycry.art. But there's where you send the art. Go to canarycry.art to send that in. You can go to canarycry.report. Same thing. It's a URL. Canarycry.report. That's how you can send us articles you want us to consider for the show. And thank you to all the producers that make this show happen. I just am looking at an email here for someone potentially interested in helping us out with some administrative. I'm so excited.
Woo!
I'm going to respond to them right after the show, get some admin help here. This is going to be great. That's right. You can put whatever time, talent, or treasure we got something for you. So go do that. Of course, we'll keep an eye out for those emails about the supply drop. That's very important. And, of course, you can sign up for the supply drop at canarycrashsupply.com. You'll be part of the Babysitters Club. We're trying to get a budget together for a babysitter during the show. And, yeah, all that stuff. And I want a couple other groups of producers I want to thank, starting with the Clippies.
Clippies.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
That's right, the Clippies. Go to Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odyssey. There's clips of the show all over the place. Go subscribe to those channels. And that's only possible because of the timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yeah, thank you to the timestampers for timestamping the show, often live. It goes into so much of our back-end process. We are undyingly grateful to the producers who do that. And thank you to Morgan E. for doing the timestamps for episode 684.
Thank you very much, Morgan E. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to Clank for clanking. And other than that, folks, share the show, please. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. We could purchase advertising and get in front of thousands of people by paying money into the marketing system that enslaves the minds of people around the world and monetizes them for corporate gain. We could do that, but honestly, word of mouth is the best way for people to find a new podcast. And here's the fun thing. You can tell them, yeah, this podcast, they've been around since 2012, kind of like how Anthony Fauci was running labs doing gain of function research on coronaviruses since 2018. These guys have been going since even longer than that, 2012. And yeah, it's kind of weird how Fauci had a lab in Montana that was receiving coronavirus strains from Wuhan a year before the pandemic began. But, you probably didn't hear about it, but this podcast has been going since 2012. Well, I guess this particular podcast has been going since 2016. But even before Fauci, imported Wuhan strain of coronavirus into Montana labs, illegal gain-of-function labs. Isn't that crazy? Well, you're going to find all sorts of fun stuff. Aunt Sharon, listen to the show, Aunt Sharon. We love you. We miss you. Share it with Aunt Sharon, folks. We call it Rattling Cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gonz, any last words?
Yeah. Real quick, just for fun. The New York Times today said that they're trying to combat the widespread belief that honeybees are in danger, which is hilarious because they spent years telling us how honeybees are in danger.
Oh my goodness.
And I have the screenshots.
The honeybees. We got the screenshots, honeybees.
It's just hilarious. We'll maybe do that next week. We'll see.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Give me a break.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
The evidence is simply overwhelming. Masks keep Californians healthy.
Women rule!
Doubling down on stupid.
Feed him more.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary!
hate crime, not support.